Oh, okay. You have
Well, some of the crowd are on the pitch. They think it's all over, but it is now.
Express yourself, create the space. You know you can win, don't give up the chase. Beat the man, take him on. You never give up, it's one-on-one. Express yourself, it's one-on-one. Express yourself, it's one-on-one. Express yourself. You can't be wrong when something's good, it's never gone. Love's got the world in motion, and I know what we can do. Love's got the world in motion, and I can't believe it's true. Now is the time, let everyone see. You never give up, that's how it should be. Don't get caught, make your own way. Express yourself, don't give it away. Express yourself, it's one-on-one. Express yourself, it's one-on-one. Express yourself, you can't be wrong when something's good, it's never gone. Love's got the world in motion, and I know what we can do. Love's got the world in motion, and I can't believe it's true. Love's got the world in motion, and I know what we can do. Love's got the world in motion, and I can't believe it's true.
Got to hold and give, but do it at the right time. You can be slow or fast, but you must get to the line. They'll always hit you and hurt you, dependent attack. There's only one way to beat them, get round the back. Catch me if you can, cause I'm the evil man. And what you're looking at is the master plan. We ain't no hooligans, this ain't a football song. 3 lions on my chest, I know we can't go wrong.
We're playing the song, we're singing for England. I really reckon she is one-on-one. We're playing for England. We're playing the song.
Well, good afternoon and welcome to this live broadcast for the Venthams Brazil 2004 Sweepstake. A special welcome to our friends from the London and Redhill offices and indeed those watching it on their sofas at home. First of all, I'd like to introduce my assistant Chris, who joins us from the Venthams football team. Chris, how are you feeling about this draw?
Very excited, Stuart, very excited.
Good, right, well let's explain how it's going to work. As you know, there's 32 teams in the World Cup and we have 64 entries in the Sweepstake. So the list of names have been randomly put in order by the computer and we have 3 different options here. So Chris, I'd like to ask you to choose one of the envelopes which we will use as our running order.
Pick this one.
Choice. Okay, so as I said, there's 2 draws running side by side to reflect the fact we've got 64 entries. So I'll literally start at the top of each list, reading out the names, and we will pull out a country which will then be allocated to name number 1 in draw 2 and name number 1 in draw 1. Chris, would you like to give the balls a good mix around, please? You just dropped one?
Oh no. Oh no.
Okay, that's probably enough. Okay, so we'll draw the first ball. And this is for Philip Warburton in draw 1 and George Beckwith in draw 2.
Nigeria.
Nigeria were unbeaten in qualifying.
Okay, the next ball is for Stuart Harrison in draw 1 and Kevin Robbins in draw 2.
Holland.
3 times runner-up in 1974, 1978 and 2010.
Okay, next ball, Richard Keith in draw 1 and Lisa Bennett in draw 2.
Mexico.
Posted twice and reached quarterfinals both times.
The next ball will be for Mark Cragg in draw 1 and Tom Marshall in draw 2.
Germany.
3 times winners. They've not lost a major penalty shootout in 37 years.
Okay, next we have Kevin Smith in draw 1 and Chris Howard in draw 2.
What he dropped on the floor?
Cameroon.
7th appearance at the World Cup, which is an African record.
Okay, now we have Richard Keith in draw 1 and Stuart Rowson in draw 2.
Portugal.
Best finish was 3rd in 1966.
Okay, Angela Reid in draw 1 and Tony Warner in draw 2.
United States.
They finished 3rd in the first World Cup in 1930.
Okay, Sean Doherty in draw 1 and Kevin Robbins again in draw 2.
Spain.
Defending champions, they averaged the highest possession figure and passes per game in all of European qualifying.
Mark Cragg in draw 1 and Claire Liddell in draw 2.
Argentina.
Twice winners in 1978 and 1986.
Okay, we move on to Nick Johnson in draw 1 and Emma Kilminster in draw 2.
Ecuador.
Their best performance was the second round in 2006 when they lost to England.
Okay, now we have Zoe in draw 1 and Chris Howarth in draw 2.
Japan.
Co-hosted in 2002 where they made it out the group stages for the first time.
Okay, Richard Brown in draw 1 and Olivia Law in draw 2.
Honduras.
They qualified for 2 previous World Cups but have yet to win a game.
Okay, we now have Simone Khan in draw number 1 and Emma Kilminster in draw number 2.
Ivory Coast.
First qualified for the World Cup in 2006.
Okay, Joe McAvoy in draw 1 and Katie Medlin in draw 2.
Ghana.
Reached the quarter-finals last World Cup, knocked out thanks to Suarez's handball.
Okay, Richard Brown in draw 1 and Juliette Bland in draw 2.
Croatia.
They reached the semi-finals in their first World Cup in 1998.
Okay, Zoe in draw 1 and Alistair Godfrey in draw 2.
Australia.
They now qualify as part of the Asia group. They scored a late goal against Iraq to just about make it.
Okay, Sean in draw 1 and Claire Liddell in draw 2.
France.
They won at home in 1998, but they went out without winning a game 4 years later.
Becky Watts in draw number 1 and Lisa Bennett in draw number 2.
Greece.
First qualified in 1994, where they lost all their group matches.
Okay. Linda Brace in draw number 1 and Naomi Khan in draw number 2.
Bosnia.
It's their first appearance at a World Cup.
Mark Taylor in draw number 1 and George Beckwith in draw number 2.
Algeria.
It's their fourth World Cup appearance. They drew 0-0 with England in the last World Cup.
Nick Bard in draw number 1 and Vicky Butler in draw number 2.
Russia.
They've never been out of the group stages, but they only conceded 5 goals in qualifying.
Belinda Slay Johnson in draw number 1 and Katie Medlin in draw number 2.
Switzerland.
3 times quarter-finalists, they beat the eventual winners Spain in the opening match last World Cup.
Steve Johnson in draw number 1 and Tracy Bradley in draw number 2.
Chile.
They hosted the 1962 World Cup and finished 3rd.
Belinda Slay Johnson in draw number 1 and Stephen Baldwin in draw number 2.
South Korea.
Co-hosted in 2002, where they reached the semi-finals, beating Spain on the way.
Jack Vile in draw number 1 and Gemma Carter in draw number 2.
Ooh.
Brazil.
The hosts and 5 times champions.
Becky Slay Johnson in draw number 1 and Chris Cave in draw number 2.
Italy.
4 times winners, the only team in the World Cup without an English-based player.
Philip Warburton in draw number 1 and Naomi Khan in draw number 2.
Colombia.
Their best ever World Cup was the last 16 in 1990.
Nicola Boyce in draw number 1 and Louise Watts in draw number 2.
Costa Rica.
They reached the last 16 in 1990.
Jack Vile in draw number 1 and Stuart Rowson in draw number 2.
Belgium.
An impressive 8 wins and no defeats in qualifying.
Okay, we have Nick Bard in draw number 1 and Chris Cave in draw number 2.
England, Iran, or Uruguay.
Uruguay.
They hosted and won the first World Cup in 1930.
Okay, Aaron Agarwal and Cindy Holmes.
Iran.
They finished above South Korea to qualify. Their last home match was attended by a crowd of nearly 100,000.
And thankfully the last one, we have 1 ball left. The rest is for Tony Pryor and Stephen Baldwin.
It's got to be
England.
1-time hosts and winners.
Okay, thank you very much for joining us for the draw. We've now concluded the draw, so goodbye.
I think it's bad news for the English game. You're not creative enough, you're not positive enough.
It's coming home, it's coming home, it's coming, football's coming home.
He'll go on getting back, so getting back, so getting back.